You are tuned into the Green Hornet Case Files, a beacon of truth in a world shrouded in mystery. Unveiling the legacy and cultural significance of one of the greatest crime fighters of all time. Now, let the adventure begin. Here are your hosts, Kory and Greg.
And we are back. Episode, I have no idea which one this is. Do we, Kory?
I don't either.
I think it's 13. I think it's lucky number 13.
Well, I'm okay with that.
All right.
I feel bad, though. Why didn't I know that?
Why didn't you know that? Yeah. Welcome back, Green Hornet Case Files. I am Greg.
And I am Kory.
And we have another great show for you coming up here on the Green Hornet Case Files. I was just talking with Kory before we jumped in here and realized that I don't think I have hardly any news at all this week. I mean, it's really strange because sometimes we'll get a lot of emails and people will be commenting on a lot of different things, or we'll see something online. Actually, there was one thing. I just happened to think about this, Kory. I got a note from, hang on, let me see if I can pull this out of my backside. David Boop from our episode talking about the book that's coming out, the short stories.
Yeah.
And David was saying that he sent me a link to an auction, and one of the original prop guns from the 66 show is up for auction. And I think the auction's probably, let me just double check.
Probably closed by now.
Probably has closed. And at the
will
time,
be closed by the time you hear this.
Yeah, probably will be, because we're recording this a little bit in advance. Right now, the current bid is at $1,000. And that's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. So if anybody is interested, but I don't know when the actual auction closes, but David was like, "So Greg, when you buy this," and I'm like, "What?"
Wouldn't that be awesome?
It would. It actually really and truly would be.
I wonder if John and Gron's on that.
You know, John might be. He might be jumping all over that sucker,
Right.
and it's a good looking gun. It's not one of the the rubber ones that they use, the little prop guns. This actually looks like a metal gun with the insignia on it. The insignia looks pretty tight. There's the grip, the green grip, and the rest of the gun is kind of a grayish kind of color. I've saved the picture because I want to paint mine, to kind of look like this. 17 days left, and we're recording this on Monday, October 6th. So it will be in the next 2 weeks that this auction will be ending.
If any of our listeners end up landing this auction, let us know.
Yeah.
Podcast at greenhornet66.com. I'd just like to hear the story. That's awesome.
Yeah, I would too. It'd be so fun to be able to get something like that in my hot little. I'd just love to see it, just to touch it. Yeah. One of the stings as well. I've got a fairly decent sting that was made for me by one of my dear friends, and it's really great. But it's not like it's a metal thing. It's a 3D print, and it works well for cosplay. But so
yeah. Speaking of which, it is the con season kind of drawn to a close for the year.
It has for me at this point. I think there's a con going on this weekend. Somebody asked me about, and I'm not attending. I'm reassessing kind of to see what the con season will bring for next year. I think, isn't Horror Con going on in Seattle maybe this
Puyallup 2 weeks.
Oh, it's in Puyallup in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay. So
Cassandra will be there. Unfortunately, I will not.
I wonder if I could get her to wear a Green Hornet outfit.
It can never hurt to ask.
Hey, let's do this. When we introduce and we bring our guest out, let's see if maybe we could get him to do a little. Okay, so you know where I'm going with that. Okay. I don't want to spill the beans here yet. Okay.
Yes, I very much love this.
Okay, you know where I'm going with this. Hey, the Requiem for a Hornet, the short film that I had the opportunity of directing and playing the Green Hornet in. It's been accepted into, I think, 6 different film festivals.
Congratulations, my friend. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's about half of what we've submitted to, and that's usual. That's pretty usual. It doesn't always fit exactly where you're sending it to. Some of the places that I thought that probably would jump all over it didn't, but it is what
It's
it
all
is.
right. Yeah.
Don't know if that means we're going to wind up, maybe winning an award, but we get a laurel that says, "Hey, we were a featured selection of the, Poughkeepsie Smoke Festival," or whatever.
I really want you to attend that one and do a panel.
Yeah. Well, it's the green smoke is what it is. It's the gas gun, festival.
We're
Trying to
treading
keep
into
up.
dangerous waters again.
Yeah, here we
There's
go
a
again.
buzz.
No, I'm not going to buzz myself. Why would I do that? Come on. So, one of the guys I've been wanting to get on the show for quite a while because part of his talent is creating a look and a feel of something that just kind of excited the crap out of me. And we had his partner on here last season, and
Early on.
yeah, it was like what, fifth show or something of that we had Ron Fortier.
It was real early.
Yeah, and Ron mentioned this guy a couple of times, and I just thought, hey, maybe it's time that we got Jeff Butler on to talk about the great artwork that he's done for Now Comics and otherwise. Let's welcome Jeff Butler.
Did it again.
Hello, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Jeff.
My pleasure. It's never tough to talk about the Green Hornet or comics or any of this stuff. I'm a pop culture junkie from way back.
Well, then you've come to the right place, my friend.
Yes. So you obviously were hearing our little tease there. Can you draw Elvira in a Green Hornet?
Oh, gee, that sounds like you'd really have to do some heavy twisting of my arm there.
I
There's
need
a
this hanging
commission.
in my house so bad, dude. You don't even know.
This sounds like I've been doing a lot of interesting Green Hornet commissions over the last few years, so that sounds like it would sort of slip right into that niche pretty well.
I'm liking how you're thinking, and we can't wait. Get busy on that, would you?
Well, I have to tell you that way back many years ago at the San Diego Comic-Con, I was showing a little thing called the Green Hornet, which
I'm actually looking at a photo of that right now.
Yeah, well, let me know. I'll send it along. Actually, I even got Dave Stevens to give me a big thumbs up on that one. And the interesting thing about that was we used to, when I was at TSR, which is the Dungeons and Dragons
right.
art department, we in the art department at Christmas time we'd do sort of a Secret Santa thing, and the whole deal was whosever name you picked, you had to do them a piece of cheesecake art.
Nice.
And so one year I did I knew that Clyde Caldwell was a big Scarlet Witch fan, so I did an interesting Scarlet Witch for him. The next year, Jeff Easley is a real dear friend of mine, a super talented guy. But I thought, I gotta do something Green Hornet related. So I did this character named the Green Hornet, and she's a voluptuous young woman. And interestingly enough, her costume comes off in 2 layers of acetate. And so it's not only kind of cool cheesecake, but it's also quite a visual novelty too.
I'll be waiting out by my mailbox. Is it? Have you sent it yet?
Well, yeah, it's just a little out of reach here.
Yeah, I know. So, if you don't know Jeff's work, Jeff, as he's already alluded, did some work with TSR. Was that like out of high school?
No, it was out of college. Actually, I was about 25, when I started working there,
Yeah.
and it was 5 6 years, just incredible. I've had a pretty cool career, but that started it off real well.
God, and I was digging around, and you mentioned already Clyde Caldwell and Jeff Easley and Larry Elmore. What great names? Keith
Keith
Parkinson.
Parkinson,
Yeah, Brahm. Anybody that's
Brom,
ever
yeah,
seen? Oh
Oh,
my God.
Fred Fields. A
You
lot
know,
of amazing talent went through those doors.
well, and you got to count yourself among that because you've done just some stuff that will, smoke some of the people with, you know, uh, I mentioned Green Hornet because that's my love, my passion. But you've done so many other cool things, some Marvel stuff, and a lot of the fantasy stuff. I'm a huge
your
fantasy lover.
your Conan work, dude. Oh
Oh,
man, so good.
well, that goes way back for me. I mean, Conan, Frazetta was a real early influence. Frazetta, Steranko, and of course, Neil Adams. I was just such a comic geek. It was kind of weird too. Growing up, my dad was a sports writer. He was kind of a local celebrity here, and so I was really into sports. All right, I was a big jock in school, but I was a huge geek too. So I loved all things pop culture. Yeah, I remember being really kind of pissed off when I can I say that when
Yeah,
I was
yeah, yeah.
about 8 years old, and I'm watching the first episodes of the Batman TV show.
Uh huh.
And at 8 years old, I didn't get the whole camp thing, and I was sort of insulted that it was so silly. Because I was looking for this really cool Batman, and he was doing it all for comedy, and it sort of upset me. Years later, of course, I fell in love with the show, but at the time, I was a little upset. So yeah, I go way back with this stuff.
Were
Well, I
you
think
at that time? Were you did you get onto the Hornet around that time?
Oh my God, yes. Oh yeah. You see, I like the Hornet even better than Batman because it was they were taking things more seriously. And I remember I did a whole bunch of shows with Van Williams back when I was doing the Green Hornet comic, and we got to talk about this. And he said, that show really never got canceled. And you probably know all about this, but he said they took it off the air because ABC didn't want to commit to an hour long, and the
hmm
producers said that's the only way we can do this right.
yeah.
So it was. I would have. I would have sat right in front of that TV about 3 inches away if it was an hour long, and I would have eaten it all up.
I often tell the story about being introduced to Van Williams by Adam West,
Yes,
and it's just a fun story. And I didn't keep up with Adam over the years, but Van and I, did. And he would tell that same story that it wasn't about getting canceled per se, but it was just about the fact that the ABC just didn't want to do it, and not in that format. And it's been really interesting. I recently got and I haven't even told you about this, Kory. I recently got given a massive trove of the George Trendle correspondence that
What?
he was going back and forth. Yeah, your life and my life has been going to separate directions lately,
Yeah.
and it reading through this, and George Trendle going back and forth with Bill Dozier on the show and the other principals in the show, and it's absolutely fascinating, and at the same time it's just heartbreaking, like you said, Jeff, that it didn't get its due.
right. It was it was a great concept. The fact that they weren't doing it for laughs. Like I said, I grew to appreciate the camp later, but the thing that upsets me when we talk about this was they already had. I mean, Batman was an hour long show for 2 seasons. They just split it up into 2 nights.
Right.
So I didn't see what the big deal was. I thought I don't think they realized what they had. And for the first place, they had one of the best looking guys on television.
Oh man, yeah.
And I'll have to tell you a story about that too. But and the second, they had lightning in a bottle with Bruce Lee, and I don't
Bruce
think they
Lee.
understood.
They didn't
No.
have any idea.
No.
My brother who's 6 years older than I was, and he was as stuck on that show as I was, but mainly because he was into martial arts and he just thought Bruce Lee was the end, right?
Right.
Yeah. We
So
all did. Yeah.
I thought that was a really bad idea, and I think uh, ABC, if they had any foresight at all, they would have gotten a couple of decent writers and they would have formatted that thing as an hour detective show, and really, gotten into some heavier plot lines.
It
I think it would have been great.
it would have been absolutely marvelous. In fact, somebody here a while back was discussing that. We were discussing the possibility of the new movie. Amazia Entertainment, that I know of, hasn't moved and done anything with it other than holding the film rights. But somebody said the same thing. They should take it and turn it into an hour-long television series, and I think it would go. I really do, if it
Yeah, I
was
mean,
written well.
with Netflix or something like that,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think they could do something pretty cool.
yeah.
But I got to tell you, when at a few of the shows that I was uh, at with Van, when they put us next to each other, it would be hilarious because I would have a line of comics kids waiting for my autograph, to sign their comics, right? And he would have a line of their mothers. And it was hilarious because he was so gracious, but he had a really he was a funny guy. He had a pretty interesting sense of humor. But they'd come up and almost to an individual, they'd say the same things like, "Oh, you were the best looking guy on TV," what you can't argue with.
No,
And, "Oh, I remember you in the what was it, Surfside Six?"
Surfside Six.
And
Yeah,
and I just thought you were so and he would "Oh, thank you, that's so nice of you to say." And then he'd look over his left shoulder at me and he'd wink.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I remember I went to dinner with one night out in Baltimore with him and Jim Steranko and Will Murray. And so I think Van had to have been into his mid, possibly late 50s at this point. And the waitresses wouldn't leave him alone. It was I was just sitting there in awe.
He
We-
really did have what the kids now call riz.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
He
yeah.
had charisma all day long.
All day. We would. My wife and I found the old Surfside Six, and we were, cruising through it and watching it. And our granddaughter came walking through one day, and she's like, it was one of those scenes where Van was in his swim trunks, no shirt, and
Yes.
and she's like, "Ooh, it's good." She's like 12, 13. Can I watch this with you guys?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I remember showing a picture of Van in one of those shots to my wife, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'd watch that show.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
watch it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
I'd
works
watch
for
that.
me."
Yeah. Yeah. Mission Impossible you can keep. Let's watch this. Okay. Yeah. So talk a little bit about this Ron guy who had this idea for kind of reinventing the Hornet. How did that whole thing come about?
Well, originally Ron was working with an artist named Steve Irwin, and they were knocking around ideas. I had met Ron, I believe, in San Diego one year, and we just got talking, and it came up that we were both huge Green Hornet fans. But that's really as far as that went. And I was working at TSR at the time. I used to do the TSR big booth out in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd come out. I'd have to ship all that stuff out for the trade show before the convention, and then I got to actually kind of enjoy myself during the convention. And I got to meet a lot of really great people, and Ron was one of them. And so we kind of filed the meeting back in our memory banks. And a couple of years later, actually, it might not even have been 2 years later, it might have been about a year later, I get a call from him, and I think we traded a couple of letters. And he said, we're trying to get this Green Hornet thing going, and my other partner Steve Irwin's got a commitment, I think, with DC Comics at the time. And I always had said during my years at TSR that there were only a couple of things that could possibly get me to leave TSR, and one of them was a Green Hornet comic.
Really?
If I was,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird to say it now because it sounds contrived, but I actually told a lot of people this. Excuse me. And so Ron, I think I probably told it to Ron too, and he said, "Well, here's your chance because it looks like Now Comics is gonna do this, and we need an artist." And I immediately thought of you, and I thought, "Oh man, this is almost too good to be true." And he had already told me the concept, which made it even harder to walk away from because he had really clicked on something. The whole
Yeah.
notion of doing the Green Hornet is going to be inherently problematic because you have the different eras, right? And if you're a fan, you love them all. So you have the Golden Age Green Hornet, who's I lump the radio character and the comic character, um, the kind of old pulpy character all into the Golden Age. And then, of course, you've got the Silver Age, if you're talking comic books, and that would be the Van Williams Bruce Lee iteration.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, really nothing. Um, and it's kind of frustrating because my understanding was at the time that George Trendle Sr. did not care for the TV show that much.
No, he did not.
And he was really reluctant to let that character out of the bag again. We had actually tried very uh, just very superficially, we had sent feelers out to see if we could do something game wise with the Green Hornet at
At
TSR.
TSR?
Yeah, and because there were some fans there, and like I said, this is just sort of a contact, see if we can get any feedback or interest. And it was really like, no, there's nothing going on there. And I thought, okay. And then when I heard this from Ron, it was really exciting because um, I thought the concept would be way beyond what I thought Trundle would accept. And yet here he was telling me that they were okay with it. They liked it. And I thought, okay, I can't miss out on this. So I tendered my resignation. And the other thing was, it was interesting period. Now Comics was going through some, excuse me, strange um, troubles with some of their creators. And there's a lot of complaints in the professional press and whatnot. And I had met Tony Caputo a couple of times, and I'd hit it off with him just fine. And I thought to myself, listen, if he's got this license and we work up a contract it looks good to both of us, what's the worst that can happen? Maybe it doesn't fly. Maybe I don't get a couple of checks, and then I say, listen, you broke your deal. Well, none of that happened. It was really it was a great experience, except for the fact that I got sick right around issue 10, and I had to leave the book a little early. But we came back with a bang with the Sting of the Green Hornet
Sting of the
miniseries,
Green
and that was a
Hornet.
blast. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, so the initial series was awesome until Trendle decided that Mishi couldn't be Kato, and that was heartbreaking. So, and after that, I started to honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, part of me kind of lost interest because at this, not totally, because I love the characters, but I thought, man, we were really building something there, and we were doing this sort of something that was very current, and that was that whole moonlighting thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we had, Mishi and Paul were going to be doing this interesting dance where, are they romantically involved? Who's the mentor and who's the mentee here, And one of them's bringing a whole bunch of incredible experience and assets to the team, and the other one's got some, you know, psychological interesting stuff going on, and the two of them together were just, I thought, real dynamite. And then all of a sudden, bang, we couldn't do it anymore, and that was frustrating.
I love the concept. I love the concept of grandfather, granddaughter, all those kind of things, and how it all plays out. I do have to tell you, this was kind of interesting. A friend of mine that is the head of the board of the Adam West Day Foundation that's going on. We just had Adam West Day in Walla Walla, Washington, here a couple of weeks back,
All right.
and he sent me this picture this afternoon. I'm at work, throwing popcorn in people's popcorn bags, and this this text comes through, and he says, "Oh, Greg, have you ever seen this before?" Well, it's your family portrait of all of the Hornets, the Catos, the Mishis, the Paul. It's that picture with all of them together, and I went, "Oh, yeah, that's a great picture. We're talking to Jeff tonight on."
Yeah, what Ron was doing there, I thought was really amazing, and the fact that the pitch went through. When he first started telling me this stuff, I was a little bit. You know how it is. You feel like, oh yeah, that's way too good to be true, and then it's going to fly, and you're going to be part of it. And I was pinching myself. This was early part of my career. I was pinching myself a lot because I was getting to do all of this really cool stuff, and here I'm doing what I always said I wanted to do. I'm leaving this amazing job for this new adventure, and like I said, Ron teed it up so well, and the concept was his. I mean, it was all him. I came in later on. Some of the concept work that Steve did, we kind of used it a little bit, but I thought it was a little too funky 80s for the Green Hornet, in my
Hmm.
opinion. I thought once we settle in, we're going to get Paul back to the trench coat. We might give him a little bit of a different mask, the way they did in the TV series. The thing that people don't realize, a lot of people don't realize who aren't fans, is the mask is essentially a gas mask. So originally he was covering his face to
Right.
protect himself from his own weapon. And which is why it originally looked sort of like a surgeon's mask, which I never cared for. And I told Ron right out of the gate, if we're doing the Golden Age character, he's wearing the movie serial mask, because that
Those are
bear eye open thing just doesn't look right to me.
This is an excellent choice there.
Good. I figured, I just thought that was something that most fans would kind of appreciate. So that was that. And but then later on, when we were getting away from the gas and moving more into some kind of a shocking device where he didn't necessarily have to have his mouth covered. I was thinking about the old Masked Marvel, where he had a mask that covered a little bit more of his face, but not necessarily his mouth. So I'm a character designer. I've been working with character design for most of my career, and I teach it now. So I tell my students all the time, what you don't want to do, if you can help it, is to cover up your actors, right? And the facial features are actors, hands are actors, Bugs Bunny's ears are actors. You have all of these things that can use to your advantage. But then when you have a full face mask, you have you've got an inherent problem. You're not going to be able to see expression. So you have to kind of pull it off a little bit differently. But I thought that full face Golden Age mask was just too cool to leave behind. We had to have it.
I've never, I have one. I had a dear friend of mine make me one that is just spot on, but I have never, I guess the word has been brave enough to wear it to a con, because I think it's buried deep in, in the zeitgeist of the character, to the point where nobody would recognize it. And maybe I'm wrong about that. So maybe I should bust it out. I don't know.
Well, it's a good that's a good point, because one of the things that I've noticed over the years, being associated with the character, which is, I love this. I love. There's a period before Dynamite and all of that, where if you typed Green Hornet into Google, all of my artwork showed up right at the top, which was really kind of fun.
Still does
But
pretty good.
well, it's in there. But anyway, the interesting thing to me about Green Hornet fandom is that it's not huge, but it's passionate as hell.
Oh man, is it ever?
And
Yeah.
and So you're right. There's going to be a group of people out there that will recognize that right away. And I think any type of a mask that has a green hornet symbol on the right out front is going to, people are going to recognize. But I know what you're saying, because it's not at the forefront of pop culture, and it hasn't been for a long time.
No,
And
no.
I always thought I wanted to change that, because as much as I love, the 60s show and those characters, and I do, I thought, there's not a lot I can do better there. But I thought I could do the 40s character better in the comics.
You've done some comic covers, and I don't know if most of these are probably not actual covers, more of the pinup kind of covers that are they just blow me away. I have to tell you, they're some of the best covers that I've ever seen, and I don't think actually exist on magazines. I'm assuming
Oh, are you talking about the commissions?
that
So
probably would be the ones.
that's that part of the fandom that was talking about, that's so passionate. I get a lot of commissions from Green Hornet fans, and some of them are amazing. I just posted one today on Instagram and Facebook that I did probably about 12 years ago, and it's the Golden Age Green Hornet and the old Phantom Lady from Seduction of the Innocent. And
Ah,
it was such a great suggestion. And I get these wonderful suggestions. I got a guy, David Holden I think he lives in New York, and he commissioned me to do a cover, and he wanted the Golden Age Hornet, but he said, the Green Hornet didn't have a really wonderful rogues gallery. And I said, well, that's true, because he was the the mob buster.
mm-hmm.
And he said, but what if you had him battling Batman's rogues gallery? And I thought, oh, twist my arm.
Yeah.
And so I did that one. It turned out great. And it's funny, after I always color them to make them look like old fashioned comics. And I heard from a friend of mine who's a big Hornet collector, and I think he has all the Golden Age issues. And he said, I saw that. And I thought, now, wait a minute. For a second, I was, you know, going through my collection in my mind thinking, how did I miss this? And he said, and then I realized, duh, those are Batman characters. That's not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I took that as a nice compliment.
I'm sliding through your Facebook as we speak.
I'm looking at his Instagram.
We were having this conversation. It's been a show or two ago about crossovers
Right.
and who we thought would be good crossovers, and asking the fandom. And one of them that did come up was the Green Hornet and the Phantom. And there it is. There it is.
Yes.
What was the one that we just? Oh, the Rocketeer.
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 You mentioned Dave Stevens earlier.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Well, there you
That
go.
would be a really cool cover.
There you go. Golden Age.
I'm
What,
adding that
what do
to
you
my
charge for
list.
commissions, man? Because I want that.
Well, keep in touch. Like, I'll tell you what. I always tell people I'm past retirement age, but I'm still teaching, and I'm getting ready to clear the decks, because I want to get back to the drawing board so bad.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of stuff that just really fires me up. I mean, you get a suggestion like that. Are you kidding? Now I got 1 foot, heading towards my drawing board right now. Just thinking of the Rocketeer and the Hornet. Just awesome.
That's the very much a dream combo for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Oh,
were
yeah.
talking
Totally
about
would.
that. And,
I'm
Speaking.
looking at my Rocketeer helmet right now, the metal one. It's
There you
beauty.
go. There you go. But you mentioned to us prior to firing up the old radio machine here that you're working on a book project. Talk about what you can.
Well, not too much to talk about yet, but we're finally talking about putting together an art book. I've been posting so much stuff. I work at this really amazing woman. I don't know if you're familiar with Linda Berry, but she's a super well-known cartoonist.
she's amazing.
Yes, Linda is amazing. And she was teaching at the University of Wisconsin, and teaching making comics, and I took her class, and we kind of professionally hit it off really well. And I took an independent class with her later, and she came in one day, and she asked to talk to me in the hallway. And she's just a little tiny woman, and I'm this big hulking guy. And I thought, whoa, am I in trouble? So I followed her out in the hallway, and she said, I'm planning. I would like to take a year's sabbatical here, and I really wanted you to teach my classes. And I was just like, wow.
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 And
Wow.
that to me, that was a little bit like somebody handing me a harmonica and telling me I'm going on after the Beatles circa 1965. And she said, no, you're going to be fine. And so that was in 2018. I'm still there, and we're having a ball. And so I teach making comics and making comics too. She's kind of pulling back a little bit, teaching fewer classes, but it's great. It's super creative, and I really enjoy it. My students are amazing. But this summer, she took my class, my online summer class, and it was a different thing for her because she's never really had any kind of formal cartooning training from an honest to God comic artist, and it was great. She just loved it. And then she started to tell me, you got to start posting more stuff. And not just that, you got to start posting sketches and the process. And so I did, and using her encouragement, and the feedback's been amazing. People have been really loving it,
That
and
is so cool.
so it's when I realized that I've got this huge inventory of amazing stuff. I mean, you're talking about TSR, where I was doing not just fantasy stuff, not just the D&D stuff, but they had the Marvel Superheroes role-playing game, and I was the primary artist for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously the Green Hornet and a bunch of the other comic stuff I did. I still get people wanting to buy pages from Charles Barkley versus Godzilla, which is one of the weirdest comics ever produced, but it was a
I own
blast.
that.
And and I did it with my original writing partner, Mike Barron. Um, and when we created the Badger together way back when. And so, and then I spent 15 years in the video game industry as a character designer. Actually, I kind of wore a lot of hats because you could do that back then.
You worked on a couple of Star Wars games, didn't you? Jedi
I
Knight?
did. I worked on a couple of Star Wars games. I worked on 4 Marvel games. I was the lead character artist on X-Men Legends 1 and 2 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I had a ball. I had so much fun with that. So I've been joined at the hip with Marvel for most of my career. And so getting back to the original question is, I've got all of this artwork, and I've been showing it off lately. And I've got a friend who's worked with a few other artists publishing books on their work, and he said, let's do this. So we're talking about it. I think it's time.
I think it's past time, and I will take episode or issue number 1, please. Thank you. Here's my credit card. Okay.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, by all means. It's been a wonderful chat. We all talked about the fact that before we started that each one of us has a radio background. That Kory did 5 years or so.
Yeah.
I did 40 some in the radio business. And Jeff, my friend, you're part of the group.
Well, I toyed with it. Let's put it that way. When I was younger, and I had several friends who were pros, and I worked with them a little bit. And I was one of my passions. One of the things I always wanted to do was voiceover work, and I got a chance to do a little bit of that when I was doing the video game stuff. Now, the interesting thing is that we had a voiceover director at Raven Software, and Bob Love, and he would work with us. And what we would do is we would do placeholders. So we had a group of us that would do the in-house acting, voice acting, and then he'd take it out to Hollywood. They'd hire a bunch of pros, and they'd listen to ours. Ours were the sort of the directors,
right?
And
almost like a vocal animatic.
Pardon?
Almost like a vocal animatic.
Yeah, kind of. That's it. It really is. It's sort of like a vocal storyboard. Yeah, and they would kind of go off of theirs, and the, I had a ball doing it. But then it actually became real when we were doing Marvel Ultimate Alliance because the voice actor, if you've played that game, you know that Nick Fury is the hub character, right? So he's the guy that's given out all of the information and the direction on what you're going to go do. And I had done him for yeah, again, for the placeholder stuff. And I remember Bob came into my office and he says, I need help. And I said, what do you need? He said, all right, we've got a bunch of rewrites for the game and we can't get the voice actor because he's tied up. And I said, okay, what can I do? He says, well, we need you to be Nick Fury again. And at the time I wasn't in that. And you know how you got to prep your voice and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And when I was doing it, my voice was more gruff and lower. And I said, I don't know if I can do it. He said, well, just listen to it for a while. So I listened to this guy's stuff and I was trying to get it. I was trying to mimic it. We went into the studio and I'm in this little room and with the microphone and my script. And he is just, hollering at me, lower, lower, gruffer. And he said, timeout. And I come out of the room and he hands me a pillow and he says, go in there and yell into this for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I did. And all of a sudden, Nick Fury came out.
Nice.
And so I can't remember, it's about maybe a fifth or a fourth. I can't remember how much of it of Nick Fury's voice in that game is actually me. And but I said that out loud. I didn't have a SAG card, so I couldn't get credited.
No credit.
Yeah,
No credit.
but it was very cool. I really enjoyed it. And,
but you know, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And now everybody else does.
and I'm sure I really screwed up my vocal cords prepping for that.
It's like smoking that 6-pack. Okay.
Yes.
There you go. Got to get that voice going out. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. We got to do a lot of different characters too, and so there were some theater kids in that building, and we had a lot of fun working on those things.
It sounds like a great life. You've given us a lot of incredible artwork, and now we know we need to go find that game and go check out some great voice work as well. So Jeff Butler has been our guest on the Green Hornet Case Files. I can't believe that 45 minutes is
This conversation went so quick.
It did.
I feel like we could do this for another 2 hours.
Yeah, we probably could. We could just, just cut it right there. We'll do part 2. Keep going. So at this point, maybe a book in the future, still teaching classes, and now you have your marching orders with some artwork, my friend.
Yeah, well, again, cheesecake and the Green Hornet. That's going to be a hard one.
Yeah, I can see this. I can see he's going to be up all hours tonight. The Green Hornet and Miss Case. I can see that one coming up too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and yes, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to give me some contact info so I can send along the Green Hornet in all her glory.
There you go.
Yes,
it is on its way. Jeff,
you got to know it's okay when Dave Stevens gave it a thumbs up. So
I don't know that there's a bigger seal of approval, man.
That's the way I felt at the time. I thought, okay,
wow.
right?
Getting thumbs up. Must be good. Must be good.
Got it.
All right, Jeff. If you haven't seen Jeff's work, go check out. You've got a website, right? JeffButler.com.
Yeah, it's jeff-butler.com, and I'm on Instagram at Jeff Butler Art.
All right.
I've been posting like a madman lately, so you'll get to see a lot of stuff.
I highly recommend that the listeners go look at. He posted the cover of Sting of the Green Hornet issue 2.
Yeah.
Recently, and
yes.
that cover, oh, it's killer. It's killer. Go look. Go to Jeff's Instagram.
I'm loving it.
I've been posting some Green Hornet stuff lately, and I plan on doing it. I am actually going to a show this upcoming weekend in St. Paul, so FallCon, And leading up to that, like I said, I'm going to be posting Green Hornet art.
All right. And if you're in that neck of the woods, be sure and drop on by and check out Jeff Butler. Jeff, thanks for spending some time with us. We may have to do this again.
My pleasure. Yeah, there's lots more where that
A-
came from.
Absolute honor, my friend. This has been awesome.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
But wait, there's more, as they say. All right, Green Hornet Case Files. I hope you have enjoyed, the listen for the show. There are some things that we will be talking about next time around. I've been having some conversations with Mary Kay Johnston, the granddaughter of George Trendle. She's been throwing some things my direction as well. So who knows? You just never know in this wild, wonderful world of the Green Hornet of what may come. You just never know.
Podcast at greenhornet66.com. If you have any questions, comments, anything, we love hearing from you guys. And send Jeff some love as well.
Yeah, by all means. If you like what we're doing, you want to keep hearing more of this great content, be sure and visit our ko-fi.com, coffee or ko-fi.com, Green Hornets. What?
I'm still laughing that it's a bit, like it's a thing we do.
It is just a thing we do. So check it out. And is it that time?
It is. I think we need to hear that thunder and hear that lightning. Let's roll.
As the night envelops the city once more, our journey through the hidden alleys of history and valor comes to a close. You've been riding shotgun with the Green Hornet Case Files, where the echoes of the past meet the voices of the present. Tune in again for the next thrilling adventure, where shadows speak, secrets unfold, and the legacy of the Green Hornet continues to inspire. The Green Hornet Case Files is a Grail Productions podcast. The Green Hornet is owned exclusively by Green Hornet, Inc. Until next time, vigilant listeners, keep your wits sharp and your spirit unbreakable.